What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at the 1920 silent horror, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. My overall thoughts on the film is this. I appreciate The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This is a milestone film in terms of the horror genre. This movie pretty much is a blueprint for movies like Dracula and Frankenstein. This movie is a blueprint for expressionistic, surrealist imagery that sticks in your brain and sticks in your mind, and imagery that you just can't get out of your head because it's just so wacky and off the wall that it just stays with you. You know, a la Tim Burton, if you want a modern example. The set design and imagery of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari can pretty much be something you see in a Tim Burton film. You know, Tim Burton movies have obviously taken a lot of influence from this specific film. For if you watch a Tim Burton movie and then you watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari back to back with a Tim Burton movie, you can see that the sense of style is very, very similar. You know, that's another thing that this movie done really well, is that it has its imagery that has gone on to be influential all across the decades since its release. You know, very few movies can stand the test of time like that, where they're influenced over 100 years later. And yeah, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, this movie is 101 years old, if you can believe that. You know, 100 years later, this movie's influence is still being felt all across cinema. And that's a testament to the talent that went behind this film. That's a testament to the story behind this film. Like, this movie doesn't really have this complex storyline to it, but it does have characters and moments who are themselves can be a little bit complex. The overall story of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is simple. You know, there's this guy named Caligari, who was like a circus doctor, a sideshow attraction guy, who has this freak in a cabinet named Cesare, who is like a symbolist, who he can hypnotize to carry out his own deeds. That's pretty much what the movie's all about. That's pretty much the movie's all about, and it's all about this guy named Francis, who was a police officer who was on the trail of Caligari, trying to solve the crimes that are being committed in this little town. That's pretty much what the movie's all about. Like, it's just very straightforward plot. But what happens in the movie is what's interesting. You know, the character of Caligari himself, played by Warner Krause, he's the archetype of what we know now as the mad scientist. You know, he has this wacky, crazed look to him. He's somebody that when you see, he's going to stand out in the crowd because of what he does. And I thought Warner Krause did a real fine job in the role of Dr. Caligari, giving him, very distinct mannerisms and a very distinct look that when you see Caligari, it's going to stick in your mind. Great stuff. On the flip side, you have the character of Cesare, played by Conrad Veidt. The character of Cesare is a very important character, and to me, through cinema. Cesare, to me, is the template of characters like Dracula, characters like Frankenstein. The look of Cesare has heavily inspired, characters such as Eric Draven from The Crow. If you look at Cesare and look at The Crow back to back, you can see that Eric Draven's character from The Crow took a lot of inspiration from the Cesare character. Like, this is like an early Gothic look, so to speak, with the all black and the white face and the grungy type of hair. Very, very similar to how Eric Draven is. Only Eric Draven is a more 90s version of Cesare. Yet it's still right there. But Conrad Veidt's performance is really, really good. He has like this certain way of moving Cesare, almost like a dancer in a lot of scenes. And then in other scenes, he's kind of just, he can come across like the Frankenstein monster and a little bit of Dracula and thrown into that mix as well. A really good performance by Conrad Veidt. Very, very good performance. And the supporting actors throughout this movie are fine to themselves as well. The actor who played Francis, who was the cop investigating the Caligari, he was fine all throughout the movie. He's also a very important character as well, because the way this movie is framed, this movie is told in a flashback with the character of Francis talking to an inmate at an asylum. When we get to the conclusion of the film, we find out that Francis is himself an inmate as well, and the entire story he told us can be told from the sense of an unreliable narrator in a way. Like, the big twist of this movie was that Francis was committed into asylum all along, so we're led to believe if what we just saw was actually happened, or this is just Francis weaving a fantastic tale from his from a deranged mind, so to speak. Because when we get to the ending, we see that Cesare is just a regular guy. We see that Dr. Caligari is actually the asylum director, and we see that the girl named Jane, who is actually Francis's love interest in the film, is also an inmate who thinks she's a queen. I like that. I appreciate that. Like, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari was one of those early movies to use that twist ending and pretty much make the audience question as to what they saw was real or not real from the character's perspective. I like that stuff. I thought that stuff was actually really, really good and handled very, very well in this movie. So, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of bad to say about The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I legitimately like this movie. I like the surreal imagery. I like the story that it tells. I like the acting. Even though this is a silent movie, the acting in this movie is really good because it's all based on body language and body posture and just theatrical movements. And it works. It really works. And it really works. So, yeah, with all that being said, my overall grade for The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, I'm going to give this movie a solid 10 out of 10. I like this movie a whole lot. This movie's still very influential 100 years later. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the film. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.